Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video we're going to be making the very last function that we need. So basically we created one function to create the object for communication. We created another function to actually communicate with the server, and this last function is going to say, okay, basically whenever we receive a response from the server, what do we want to do with it? So go ahead and put function, and we already named it up here, handle server response. And now it's not going to take any parameters. Alright, now to handle a server response, which is basically the server is going to be sending us an XML file, as we see right here. Whenever we get this request, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to check if your food is in your list or in your store basically, and I'm going to be sending you back an XML file in between response tags. So it sends back an XML file, but before we get to, dicing up the XML file, what we want to do is we want to check our object basically for errors and see what state it's in. So the first thing we want to do is it's an if statement, and we're just going to write XML. Actually, I can just go ahead and copy this. We want to check the state of it. Now, state number 4, I know I didn't talk to you guys about states and details. State number 4 is whenever the object is done communicating. You get state number 4 if the response is ready, and pretty much whenever the object is done communicating. That's what I want to say. So if state number 4, if the object is done communicating, your little, communication session was over, the next thing I want to do is I want to check something else. We actually want to check the status of that. So, yeah, I'll be lazy and copy this. Alright, so if you're done communicating, then go ahead and check the status of it. Now, if the status is equal to 200, and I know this is going to get kind of confusing, but 200 on your object, it means that the communication went okay. If this PHP file sent, maybe your server was down, or maybe it sent an error or corrupted data, then this wouldn't be equal to 200. Why they decided on 200, I have no idea, but 200 means that the communication session went okay. So remember, if the communication session went okay, then we now have an XML file. So let's go ahead and store this XML response in a variable. So XML response is equal to this object now has response XML, and this is actually a function that was built in. Pretty much what we're doing is we're extracting the XML that we got from this file right here. So now this XML response is basically your XML. Simple enough. So that's how you pull the XML from that. Now what we want to do is we want to get the document element. So I'll just name this XML document element and set this equal to XML response dot document element. Now, what the heck is the document element? Well, the document element is basically the root element, or the core, well, I think it's technically called the root element of the XML file. So remember, the XML document element is where we're going to be pulling everything else from. So what we are really focused on is this message right here. The message in between your two response tags in your XML file. So how do we access that? Well, let's go ahead and set it equal to message and set it equal to XML document element, which is basically, think of it as your document. And what we want to do is we want to look at the first child because it's the only child in this document. So of course, this is the easiest way to access it, and set it equal to data. Now, data is basically, it gets the data from your XML file, so it's going to be equal to something like this. Alright, so now this message is equal to the data, so it's going to be equal to either enter a food, you idiot, or this message is going to be equal to we do have tuna, or sorry punk, we don't have, or we don't sell no like bacon appetizers or something. So basically this message is what we want to put out on the screen. So alright, so this is basically how you change your HTML file. Now in HTML, and this is your HTML file right here, the page you're looking at right here is called the document. So let's go ahead and access that. Document.getElement by ID. Let me go ahead and talk you guys through what we're going to do real quick. Now that we got the message from the server, what we want to do is we want to take this element right here and we want to set it equal to that message.